Hello and welcome to My Finance Teacher YouTube channel. Today we're talking about what is unemployment. Well, in economics, we devote a lot of time talking about unemployment, employment, and some other related topics. And we do that because unemployment creates some real economic problems. One of those problems is that people who are unemployed, they lose their income. And of course, unemployment benefits cover some of that lost income, but they don't cover everything, and very often they are only temporary. The benefits are only temporary. Another problem is lost production, because those who are unemployed, their labor is not used in the production of different goods and services that make up the gross domestic product of our country. And finally, if unemployment is experienced by someone for a sufficiently long time, then they might start losing some of their knowledge and skills, job-related knowledge and skills. In other words, they would start losing human capital. Now let's have a look at who is actually counted to be unemployed, because it's not anybody who does not have a job is automatically and officially counted to be unemployed. Now let's take the population of the whole country. This population would be divided into those who are of working age, older than 16 years old, and those who are either too young or institutionalized. So who are these institutionalized? It's people who are not too young, but are in different kinds of institutions for a prolonged period of time. For example, students in universities, and people in hospitals for a long time, or people in prison. Now back to the working age population. It's further divided into labor force, those people who are either employed or unemployed, and those people who are not in the labor force. Those people who are not in the labor force are not employed, of course, and they're not even looking for a work, they're not even looking for a job, for whatever reasons. Well, maybe they have enough wealth of their own not to be looking for a job. Now, the labor force is made up of those who actually have a work, who are employed, and those who are unemployed. But as we mentioned, not everybody who doesn't have a job is automatically counted to be unemployed. To be counted unemployed officially, the person would have to make some specific efforts in looking for a job relatively recently, usually within 1 month. So in relation to this chart, we have a few important economic variables we calculate. The first one is the most commonly used, and that is unemployment rate. Unemployment rate is the percentage of labor force that is unemployed. Another one is employment to population ratio, and this name is a little bit confusing because it's not a ratio to the whole population of the whole country. Instead of it, it's a ratio to the working age population. So employment to population ratio is the percentage of the working age population that is employed. And another one is labor force participation rate, which is the percentage of the working age population that makes up the labor force. Well, how about those who are unemployed but are not officially counted to be unemployed? There is a little bit of a problem there, because if we want our unemployment measurements to show the amount of labor that is not contributing to production of goods and services in our country, then the official measure for unemployment, which only includes those who have made specific efforts to find a job relatively recently, so this official measure would understate the amount of unutilized labor, the amount of labor that is unused in the creation of gross domestic product. So people who have not really made a specific effort relatively recently in looking for a job might either be counted as marginally attached workers if they have some efforts made, maybe these efforts have not been so recent, or those people will be counted as discouraged workers if they have not really made any specific efforts anytime recently in looking for a job. Another source of understatement of the amount of labor not used in production is those who have a part-time job and who want to get a full-time job instead. Some of their time is not utilized, and they would like to utilize more of their time and labor. However, these people who do have a part-time job would not be counted as unemployed. So the official unemployment rate might actually understate the amount of labor that is underutilized. For that reason, there are other definitions of unemployment, more broad definitions of unemployment, that include, for example, marginally attached, discouraged workers, and even those who have a part-time job but instead want a full-time job. And before we finish this video, let's have a look at this practice problem. Imagine a country with 25 million people in which only 88% make up the working age population, and out of those 81.8% make up the labor force, and the number of people unemployed is, let's say, 1,169,740. Let's practice by calculating the working age population of the country, the labor force, number of people employed, and the unemployment rate. Of course, the working age population is 88% of 25 million. 25 million multiplied by 0.88, and that is 22 million. Labor force makes up 81.8% of the working age population, which is 22 million. So 22 million multiplied by 81.8%, that is 17,996,000. Number of people employed is the difference between this 17,996,000 and the number of people who are unemployed, minus 1,169,740, so 16,826,260. This amount of people are employed, and the unemployment rate is the ratio of number of people unemployed to the labor force. 1,169,740 divided by the labor force, which is 17,996,000. So that is 6.5%. That is the first video that talks about unemployment. Stay tuned for the next one. about different types of unemployment. Thank you for your attention.